everyone. So I wanted to make a quick video just showing you a Google Doc that I'm going to address at the bottom of your feedback comments, or I might refer to actually. I'll probably link this in the announcement where I put this video, but I will just write a reminder in your feedback to make sure that you're checking for these errors. This is a list of some of the general errors I noticed in this class and my other 101s as I was going through and reading them to get an idea of your progress on the progress check. So we're going into creating the final draft, and these are some things I want everyone to make sure that they're addressing. So I was just going to cover them very briefly, and I'll include a link to this Google Doc so that you have access to it in the announcement with this video. Okay, so the first thing that I mentioned is that your document should be double spaced. That's just an APA requirement. You should get in the habit of double spacing all of your documents. So if you want to set double space up as a default, if you're using Word, it's not a bad idea. If you have a running head at the top of your paper, that means you're using an outdated version of the APA template. I know there are still some floating around in existence. Don't use them. They are APA 6. We are working with APA 7. So if your APA template doesn't look exactly like mine, I recommend you download that template, and I'll just show you what it looks like super fast. I have it in the announcements, so we'll just check out our class. It's right here. Trying to find it now. All the way back to week 3. Good grief. Okay. It is right here. The APA template that I included is in the week 3 drafting your personal essay section. And also, if you ever need it again in the future, it is located over here under content. In the English Common modules for the APA module, I also linked it right there. So I highly recommend you download this and save it on your computer so you can use it over and over again, because this is in APA formatting. This is what an APA 7 title page should look like, with the page numbers and the formatting done correctly. So all you would need to do is download this and put in your own information, your own name, your own due date. Everything else, you can, for this class, you can leave it exactly as is. And then down here, you would put the title of the paper again, and then you would include the body of your paper. And then I've already done the lumen reference for you. So you can make sure that it looks how it should, including in this hanging indent with its own separate references page. So if your paper doesn't look like it's set up like this, I recommend that you download it and just cut and paste the body of your paper in here and make these small swaps to the things like the title, your name, the due date, etc. Okay. So here, this is also, somebody's logged into this right now. So my other students are using this, and so should you. Here, this new paragraph's not indented 5 spaces. That's something to pay attention to. So make sure that the first line of a new paragraph is indented 5 spaces. And the best way to do that is just by hitting tab. Thesis statement should not be informative. It should be reflective. So we'll just, to clarify that. So what I mean by this is you should not have thesis statements that are like a summary of the article. I don't want a summary of defining critical thinking. I don't want you to explain what, according to the article, critical thinking is. The thing that you're doing in this personal essay is putting together your personal experience and the Lumen article under the topic of critical thinking. So you're talking about critical thinking and you're talking about your own experience with critical thinking, whether you demonstrated it or not, or whether you're talking about how important it is in your life or not. And you're also including and referring back to that Lumen article as it relates to your own experience. So make sure that when you're talking about the thesis statement, you're not saying something like critical thinking is an important process that people use in their everyday lives. That's an informative thesis statement. I want a reflective thesis statement that has I in it, that has first person, and that talks about your experience with critical thinking. Another thing to avoid is the use of the second person being you. You is the second person. So if you have it in your introduction, I'll let it slide because it can be helpful in a hypothetical question. Like, have you ever thought about blah, 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 is a totally fine hook. But when you get into the body paragraphs, you want to avoid the second person. So switch that into third person or first person. Since this is a reflective essay, you are allowed to use first person. Make sure that you do not switch. Do not switch between present and past tense. Just stay in one or the other. And so I'll say that the error is switch out of past tense because you should be writing about an experience that already happened. So make sure you're using past tense. Does not include 2 quotes or paraphrases from the article. You're supposed to incorporate 2 quotes from the article, so make sure you have. Does not include in-text citations after the quotes, author, last name, publication, year, paragraph number. So if you make the error of not including in-text citations after the quotes, that's a problem. Make sure that if you cut and pasted any portions, that they're not still in gray. So another error is if you cut and pasted portions and left them in gray font instead of black font, that's something that I want you to correct. One way you can do that is hit Control-All and highlight the whole document and then choose the font color up at the top to make sure it's in black. And then the last error that I mentioned is that your Lumen reference is not in the references page. Your Lumen APA reference should be at the end in the reference page and it should be formatted correctly. If you're not sure how to format it correctly, guess what? I did it for you in the template. So make sure you're either cutting and pasting that reference into your own document or you're using the template to ensure your APA looks good. I will relink the template in this announcement as well. So these are some errors. Look over the common errors below and address any in your paper before submitting the final draft. So you don't want to do any of these things.